Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff,
And I'm Linda.
and welcome to another edition of the VAPI Fireside Chats. We're sitting here by the campfire out at Bear
Bear
Tree,
Tree.
and we've been out here a couple of nights. We got a couple more to go.
Mm-hmm.
Got a bunch of campfire chats to
Yeah.
do and a bunch of Slalacum videos.
Right.
So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check out youtube.com/Slalacum. SLALAKUM.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we're going to do here is pose some questions to each other and see
Right.
how each other responds. If you have any questions that you'd like to see us respond to, please drop them down below. And as I say, be patient. We will get to them, definitely.
Yes.
But these are pre-recorded, and it'll be some time before we get around to some of those questions.
Right, and we don't have any questions right now because we don't have any Wi-Fi or any kind of cell service right now. So we can't really look these questions up on YouTube and
Right.
see them. But we do like answering the questions. I really like answering the questions that the people pose to
We do.
us.
We love them.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate each one of you that are watching this.
Yes.
And there's going to be a Triple G vlog, which is kind of a recap of our weekend. We've got a couple of them to do, but we're going to do one at the end of this weekend and talk about all we've done. But
Yeah.
pretty cool. Today, it was the Virginia Creeper Trail.
It was.
And that was awesome. We did a video of it.
Was.
So that's going to be on the Slalacum channel too.
Yeah, this was a 33.4 mile trail, and we only did a small section of it,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
We were a little bit concerned because we heard rumbles of thunder in the distance and, thought maybe we needed to turn back before we got dumped on,
Yeah.
But it was really cool. We almost had a chance to see a copperhead, which Jeff was not too excited about.
I wasn't, no.
Yeah, especially since I forgot my gun. I keep, when we come out camping like this, I often keep my revolver loaded with one round of snake shot in there.
That's a good
So,
call.
yeah, and it's always the first round that's ready to go. So that way, if we come up on a snake,
Or a bear. Bear's getting snake shot.
yeah, he's getting snake shot first, and then he's getting a
Yeah.
357 round, But
As
yeah,
we're running away.
yeah, but we didn't have it in this particular instance. I didn't think that we'd need it.
We were all right.
So,
We were all right. But let's get to the questions without any further ado. So, Linda, I know about your fascination with the paranormal
Yes.
and ghosts and helping people.
Right.
At what point, okay, and this is probably two different points here. At what point did you develop an interest for investigating cryptids? And at what point did you actually realize that you were going to pursue that? Because a lot of us say like, oh, it'd be cool to go look for Bigfoot, and but not a lot of us, but a lot of people, and they never actually do it.
Right.
But at some point they come to the realization that, oh, I'm interested in this. And then for some people, they come to the point where they actually go out and do it.
Right.
So to start off, let me just ask you this. Did you ever think you would be squatching?
Not necessarily. And this is kind of a story that goes way back. I mean, my father was always interested in the paranormal and all aspects of the paranormal, not just into ghosts, but into Bigfoot and other cryptids, into aliens, and even unsolved mysteries. He would bring up and we would talk about, and I remember him talking a lot about it since, I mean, before I can even remember, really. I think he's been talking about this stuff. So he got me interested in these things very early. And there came a point where in my life where I was kind of in a situation where I wasn't happy at all. And I was trying to figure out how to get out of this bad relationship. And I remember looking at the neighbors. They would pack up their trailer and you could tell by what they were packing that they would be going off up, probably into the mountains to camp every weekend and just having a great time. And I really remember being out in the campgrounds as a kid. My parents used to take us out to these campgrounds and how nice it would be to kind of get back to that. But finding a point where I could say, hey, let's go out squatching, is kind of difficult because I don't recall that there was ever a specific point where I said, hey, let me go out and do this. I knew that, like, I had studied a lot on survival skills, on living off the grid and things of that nature. That had also been an interest of mine for many, many years. So when I think Jeff posed the question of, let's like, why don't we go out to a specific location and see if we can find evidence of Bigfoot? It was just like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm there. Um, Now I have to say that I'm far more interested in Bigfoot than I am in a lot of other cryptids. There's something about Bigfoot that's just this big, hairy, cuddly creature. And, I'd really love to have him sitting at the campfire with us right now. I would share just about any food or, anything else that I had with him just to kind of have that experience of seeing what this thing is like and trying to communicate with it and trying to kind of find some common ground, letting him understand that we're not bad people, and trying to understand his way of life. And but squatching is probably one of the more rewarding
Is he
things that
coming?
we've
Is
done.
he coming to sit with us? Nice clothesline. That's what that is in the background. It's not a ghost with a striped sheet. It's actually a towel hanging on a clothesline.
I'm
For
pretty
those of you that
sure
were wondering.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a mouse. We have a bunch of little cute little gray mice running around the campsite. We even think that one got in the Bronco, and we're not too sure that he ever got out of the Bronco. I'm pretty sure that he's making a nest up underneath the dashboard of Jeff's Bronco, and he's going to come out at the most, least convenient moment, I guess I could
Very
say.
inopportune.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that was a mouse. You'd be surprised at how much noise they can make. But as far as Sasquatch is concerned, that's one of those things that, the idea of going out into the woods and being kind of off the grid to some extent, like we are now. I mean, true, we're in a campground, but we might have 30, 35 different campsites right now, and maybe six of them are occupied.
There's got to be more than that because we're in 56.
We're in 56, but this is only one loop.
Okay.
The upper loop is probably is more abandoned than we are right now because their bathhouses are not operational up in that second loop. So this is kind of a really quiet campground. We thought, being in the Jefferson National Forest, this might be the perfect opportunity, perfect place to find some evidence of them, maybe along the trails, but just going out into the woods, walking around, seeing the different plants and seeing the different wildlife. That's just that. Even if you don't find Bigfoot, that's probably one of my favorite things to do in the paranormal field, just because it's kind of this culmination of my entire life, really. Things that I've done, things I've been interested in over the course of my life have sort of all culminated at this point. But it's funny because I can't think of one specific point where I said, hey, let's go do this and this would be great.
So initially, when you joined the team, I told you we investigate all claims of paranormal activity,
Yes. Right.
everything. And it wasn't until I actually said, let's actively go search for Sasquatch,
Right.
that you thought about actually doing it.
I believe that's probably true because I might have thought about doing it, but it wasn't the kind of thing that I would have done by myself. I would have had to have been with a team, or because I wasn't confident in my own skills in the outdoors. To be able to go out there and do these things myself. And Jeff, when he said that, told me, we investigate all forms of the paranormal. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm there and gung ho about the whole thing. But yeah, but when you actually said, "Hey, let's actually physically go out and do something," that's probably the point where I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, this is turning from ghosts and demons over to something a little bit more." And I'm always willing to learn something new, to try something new, especially if I don't think it's necessarily going to get me killed. So yeah, absolutely. That's probably the point is when Jeff asked. So, thinking about the whole Sasquatch hunting, expedition Slolocum thing that we've got going here, a lot of what we do relates to Bigfoot. But when you're in the paranormal field and you believe in cryptids, a lot of people have a favorite cryptid. let's say. Some people are obsessed with things like Bigfoot. Some people have become more obsessed with Dogman. Some people it's even the Mothman, because that's a pretty famous one around here. What would you say is your favorite cryptid, and why would that be? Why do you think that is your favorite?
I am big on Bigfoot, and I say that because it's the first one that came to mind when I thought about cryptids. And everywhere you go camping, they have cool Bigfoot. Like the place we're eating at today, they had a Bigfoot shirt there and stuff like that. So he's kind of associated with camping in the outdoors. But I would say one of my favorites, and I haven't done a lot of in-depth research into this individual cryptid, just a little bit. I have to say my research is more so into ghosts and spirits, but camping is my favorite thing to do, and cryptids being associated with the woods and the outdoors. Obviously, I love doing this stuff. Dogman. Dogman would have to be a big one for me. And I say that because Linda talked about Bigfoot being cuddly. I haven't heard that from many reports, but Dogman. Now that sounds like a cuddly guy right there. Dog is man's best friend. So dog man, he's got to be like a man's dog man. You know what I mean? He's not a man's man. He's a man's dog man. Like he's the ultimate best friend. And I could see him just kind of coming up out of the woods, like panting and wagging his tail and all that stuff. And me cracking open a can of Alpo and putting it down here by the campfire, and him just sitting there, licking that stuff up, and maybe like squeak a squeaky toy and chuck it out in the woods, and he goes running out and carries it back in his hand. I don't know. Dogman is a fascinating one, but it's fascinating because I'm one. Linda said that being paranormal investigators, we believe in cryptids. I more so believe in the possibility. I'm one, I would not be surprised if none of these existed, and I would not be surprised if every single one of them existed. I'm just kind of open to that possibility. And with Dogman, it seems pretty substantial because we have reports going back to the 1800s, especially this one place that we looked at going, I believe it was Michau or some kind of a French
Micho.
forest
Mm-hmm.
in Pennsylvania. And we were all set to go out there, really looking forward to it. And then COVID hit, and for some reason, like the state forest decided, hey, this one campsite in the middle of nowhere is now closed because of COVID. It didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I was really looking forward to going out there because of all these. There were so many reports of people seeing him, and they talk about the eye color. Dogman is the one with the red eyes, this upright canine creature. And Bigfoot, there's explanations for, or suggestions as far as ancient creatures that could have survived throughout time and still be here just in areas that are very secluded and undiscovered. But at what point in history was there ever anything that looked like a dog man other than the legend of the werewolf? And is this the same thing? There's so many questions about the dog man. Is it a werewolf? Does this thing walk by day as a man and then on a full moon he turns into a wolf, like a werewolf? Uh, I'm sure Native Americans would have experienced this creature, and I haven't firsthand seen any that are from a reliable source, but I've heard tell that Native Americans have encountered this creature. So it's just one of those things that fascinates me, and it's like Ghost, it's like Bigfoot, it's the mystery of it. And one thing that I love, but unfortunately haven't had the time to do a whole lot of research in, is tales that come from the mountains, mountain folklore. We talked to this guy, our friend Mark, down there in Tennessee, and he always talks about the stories that the Indians tell him, and it's just amazing to hear these ancient stories that of these creatures that wandered up in the mountains and are perhaps still there, and it's that thrill that comes about. I don't think I'd ever want anybody to find a dog man or a Bigfoot and to bring out hard evidence that they exist, because then what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like going out looking for bears so we
Mystery
can.
solved.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the mystery above all else. Do I like Dogman better than Bigfoot? Not necessarily. If I saw two Christmas ornaments and one had Bigfoot on it, one had Dogman, I'd probably get the Bigfoot Christmas ornament.
That's because Bigfoot's big and cuddly.
Well, I think Dogman is probably cuddly. You know, like dogs roll over. You get the right Dogman, like he's rolling over. You know what I mean? You're tickling him and he's panting and, like I said, wagging his tail and does he bark? Does he talk? What does he do? Why is he there? Like,
Right.
why is there a Dogman? How did this creature come to be? There's so many questions about the Dogman. Where if Bigfoot was discovered, I wouldn't be surprised. Dogman would surprise me a little more, I think. So, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the VAPI Fireside Chats. We really appreciate every one of you that watched.
Yes.
And we really appreciate the comments down below, especially if those comments contain a question.
Right.
Because we want to answer them.
We do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who watch and a lot of people who can come up with better questions than we can.
Sure can.
So we want to hear them.
Yeah, absolutely. Until next time, remember, there's much more to see in the dark.